Hey everybody, Qroo here. You know, my video topics are often inspired by the questions and comments that you, the viewers, leave on my videos. That's where this one came from. Over this last week, I read a couple of comments from folks who were confused why the Spanish word if, si, does not trigger the subjunctive in sentences like this one. Let me know if you leave. Avísame si te vas. See, that's in the plain old present tense, also known as the present indicative. The reason it's confusing some folks is because when you learn the subjunctive, right, they're teaching you, you know what, if there's any type of doubt or uncertainty, that's going to trigger the subjunctive. So they're like, why isn't it te vayas, right? Because clearly si sounds like doubt and uncertainty. What makes it even more confusing for folks is when they see a sentence like this one. Let me know when you leave. Avísame cuando te vayas. There's a subjunctive. It's here, but it's not in the if clause. And honestly, if I had to compare like doubt or uncertainty levels, that one with if seems, more doubtful, more uncertain, yet it's in the present indicative. So in this video, I'm going to hopefully clear this up for you folks, all right? When it comes to learning Spanish, I like to reduce the language into a series of simple rules or constructions that are easy to remember and apply. So here's your simple rule to remember this, okay? The word if, si, only triggers the subjunctive in hypothetical situations. And in that case, it will be either with the imperfect subjunctive or the pluperfect subjunctive, never the present subjunctive. The key to using this correctly is to identify if the sentence is hypothetical, which really isn't that tough because our English is a pretty good gauge for that, all right? Compare these sentences. If Juan arrives soon, I'll give him the letter. If I were rich, I would buy a house in Spain. If I had known that you didn't want to go to the party, I wouldn't have invited you. Which ones do you think are hypothetical? Did you guess 2 and 3? If you guessed 2 and 3, you're absolutely right. So the first one is not, so it will not use the subjunctive. In the other ones, we're going to be using, in the second one, the imperfect subjunctive, and in the third one, the pluperfect subjunctive. Don't let the grammatical terms scare you. The imperfect subjunctive is just the subjunctive in the past tense. And the pluperfect subjunctive is also the subjunctive in the past tense, but it's the one using haber, like had known, that part. Do you know what the dead giveaway is that you're dealing with a hypothetical situation? The word would in the next clause. Take a look at those. I would buy a house in Spain. I wouldn't have invited you. See, that's telling us those are hypothetical situations, so we know how to pattern our Spanish, right? Our English is telling us. So if we translate those, what are they going to look like? If Juan arrives soon, I'll give him the letter. Si Juan llega pronto, le daré la carta. No subjunctive, right? If I were rich, I would buy a house in Spain. Si yo fuera rico, me compraría una casa en España. Fuera is in the imperfect subjunctive, and compraría is in the conditional, just like it is in English. I would buy. And this last one falls in the woulda, shoulda, coulda category. If I had known that you didn't want to go to the party, I wouldn't have invited you. Si yo hubiera sabido que no querías ir a la fiesta, no te habría invitado. The thing I really like about the construction of number 3 is that it mirrors English pretty closely, right? If I had known. Si yo hubiera sabido. Had known. Hubiera sabido. And then at the end, I wouldn't have invited. Same thing. No te habría invitado. And habría is would have, right? It matches pretty closely. So it's easier for us English speakers to remember and use correctly. So let's see if you understand it. I'm going to give you some sentences, and if you're at the level of Spanish, you can translate them. Go ahead and translate them. If you're not, at least tell me if it's in the subjunctive or not the subjunctive. If I had a dog, I would feel much safer. Subjunctive, no subjunctive. Subjunctive. How are we going to translate it? Si yo tuviera un perro, me sentiría mucho más seguro. Tuviera is in the imperfect subjunctive, and then we have the conditional in the next part, right? Me sentiría. I would feel mucho más seguro, much safer. How about this one? If John says he wants to go to the concert, I'll pay for his ticket. Subjunctive, not subjunctive? Not subjunctive. Did that throw anybody off? Did you think that was hypothetical? Remember, you're looking for that word would in that other clause. Is it there? No, it's will. It's, future tense. So this is not going to be a hypothetical situation. This is not going to be triggering the subjunctive. And how would we translate this? Si Juan dice que quiere ir al concierto, le pagaré la entrada, or le pagaré el boleto. And our last one, If I had been born in Denmark, I would speak Danish. Subjunctive or not subjunctive? Subjunctive, right? This is a hypothetical situation. And how would we translate it? Si yo hubiera nacido en Dinamarca, hablaría danés. Not too tough, right? Now, one thing I do want to point out about those that I know somebody's going to ask me about is the presence of the word yo, right? Like that last one. Si yo hubiera. I left the yo in there. When you start learning Spanish, one of the first things people tell you is to stop using yo. It's going to be so obvious from the verb that you mean yo, so just drop it from the sentence, and that sounds, more native. So when students see yo, they're like, why is yo there? My goodness, it shouldn't be there, right? I mean, why is it there? The reason it's here in these particular sentences is because it's not necessarily clear that I'm talking about I. Now, if I'm using the present tense, let's say I use the verb poner, to put, right? Take a look at the conjugations of poner. The first one is pongo, right? That means I put. Now, you don't see pongo anywhere else. So I don't have to say yo pongo because it's pretty obvious. I mean, who else controls that verb? But when we're dealing with the subjunctive, whether it's present subjunctive, imperfect subjunctive, pluperfect subjunctive, or we're dealing with the conditional, our other tense here, it's not so clear. You see the conjugation for the first person is the same as it is for the third person. So without any context, if I didn't mention the subject and I just said, si hubiera nacido en Dinamarca, hablaría danés. It's like, ¿quién? Who? That could be if I had been born in Denmark. It could be if she had been born in Denmark, if Juan had been born in Denmark, if you, usted, had been born in Denmark. It's not clear. So that's why I stuck the yo in there. Well, that's the end of the video. I hope I cleared this topic up for those folks who are struggling with it a little bit. And if you enjoyed this video or if you enjoy other videos I do, just do me a favor and give it a thumbs up. It just helps me with that whole YouTube algorithm thing. And until next time, hasta luego.